that's what I felt was God was like, I need you to share this. And for me, I don't like being filmed. I don't like filming myself. It just feels awkward. Like, this is great. Like,
none of these cameras are on. Don't.
None of these cameras are here. but like, when God calls you to do something, and I feel it, and I don't do it, I feel even worse. I feel like disgusted with myself. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get this off. I'm gonna do what God's called me to do. So like sometimes like I'll be in those moments and I'm like, okay, like someone needed to hear this, and like there has been a sense of like, there's been some response, which has been cool to like be able to navigate and like be there for those people who like, oh, I needed to hear that, like thank you so much, and like helping other people grow in their faith, because that's the whole point of it. It's like, okay, God, like when you call me to do this, I'm gonna do it now. Now, talk to me a year ago, if God said, hey, I want you to film a video of you talking about this, there's no way I'm doing it. Like, I'm like, nah, like this is against the norm, because my social life was more important to me than seeing my people's faith, like my friends' faith grow. But now it's like, I don't care. Like,
so let's move to the struggle. Could you, is there ever a difference in your experience of spiritual attacks? Like, so is this anxiety coming from something that's spiritual, or is it more in my head? Did you ever have that?
I think it's a little bit of both, because I think as a man, like our flesh tries to create doubt. So even though I'm reading and I'm like digging deep and hearing the word, there's still moments where like my flesh is like, you really want to believe that? You think that happened? And I know it's truth. I know it's truth in here. But like, I think with the struggle with the anxiety, like those thoughts will come in your mind, and I'm like, that's not Jesus, because you know what I mean, that's not a feeling that God created for me. And I think as long as I have continued to acknowledge that those feelings and those negative thoughts aren't from him, that's how I know like that's not real. That's where I separate myself. But I will say majority of it has been more in my mind. Like, it's more of like a conversation back and forth. Like, I have ADHD, which I feel like it's very known. Like, I think
no way. Did you know that?
But my mind is always running.
Yeah.
Okay. So because of that, they always say like there's only so many thoughts that are like actually meaningful that you're gonna remember, or some of them that are positive. So there's a portion of a flooding thought that's like not positive, or like doubt, or you know what I mean. And it might not. It's probably not. It's not even doubt about God. It's about doubt within myself, and like getting things done and being able to stand true to me and being that image of God. Like, for example, too, I talked about the videos, right? I know my purpose is to do it to uplift God, but my flesh wants to create a mindset of being like, no, you just did that to glorify yourself.
You're going to get all these views and all these likes now, and this is going to be all about you. And
yeah,
you're going to be this, and you're going to be that.
Right.
And we kind of, I kind of go through that with us a little bit, is I have that, because we talked earlier that I think everything that we do for the kingdom, God gets the credit. We don't want to do that, but when you're actually posting social media content, you may be the in the video or the clip or the audio, but our goal is to reflect Jesus first.
Exactly. Like, there's no gimmick. There's like, it's literally just me sitting down talking. Like, I don't need to, I'm not doing an intro. I'm not like, those things are made for man. If I'm doing an intro and I'm like saying, what's up, what's up, family? Like, if I'm throwing a bunch of hashtags in my videos to get the views, that's when you know that it's more of a gimmick and you're using.
Hey, we use hashtags.
But hold on. But I'm saying, like, that's different. There's a difference in the realm of using hashtags to get that outlet to explore.
It's to promote the kingdom.
Yes.
It's to promote.
But if I'm like using hashtags to get what the kids call it is clout, that's the difference. I'm not chasing clout. I'm chasing souls at the end of the day.
Yes. Let's write that word down so we can use that for the kids.
Clout.
Hashtag clout.
Hashtag clout.
All right, chat. Let's talk.
Yeah, chat. What we say in the comments. No, for real. But like for example, if you look at these other people who make videos like that, but they're not doing it for God, what are they doing? It's a similar format, but the difference is they're using it to feed the people. But in what they're doing, they're using it to glorify themselves, not for God.
I want my credit in heaven.
Yeah.
I don't want it from man. I don't need it from man.
Exactly.
And I don't deserve it from the Lord, but to hear him say, well done, my good and faithful servant.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
For sure. And I think it also comes with maturity.
Hey guys, we're a small community looking for support. Check out mkdude.com and buy some swag from us. It'll help us out, pay the rent, keep the lights on, keep us doing this stuff for you.
I think as you grow and if you're sharing content like that, like, you got to know who you are in yourself, but also know who you are with your faith. Like, if you know that this is something that's going to, I mean, you're doing it for good, but it's pulling you away from your relationship with God, then maybe you need to reevaluate if God's calling you to film that video.
Right.
Because there's been times where I've recorded things and, like, I'm like, okay, God wants me to share this. And in my mind, I'm like, oh, he wants me to take a video of it. And then I'll try to film it, and it just doesn't seem like I can feel it. Like, I know when it's
the Lord has other plans
for that message.
Delete. Yeah.
The Lord has other plans for that message that we talk. And then the next day I'm in a group with young men and women. We're just chatting, and then, like, what God laid upon me was for that moment.
Yeah.
And seeing that, I just wish that I wouldn't allow myself to hesitate into those situations versus just, I wish I could know. But I think that's the thing we want to know, but it's part of the journey.
So on your journey, when you're still in the midst of your, I'm not calling them anxiety attacks.
Yeah.
Is that what
it's
called?
I guess you would say anxiety attacks, panic, both the same.
Did you have anyone in your life you could share that, hey, I struggle with this?
Me and my sister Kadi, we have a gap in age, but, like, we've always had a good relationship and bond to where, like, I could just talk to her about stuff and vice versa. So, like, I would go to her, I'd call her and be like, hey, this just happened, or, like, I'm dealing with this. She was close. And then I had another friend, his name's Alex. He was actually one of the people who were there with me in the hospital. Like, So
you've been hospitalized. I knew they gave you, I didn't know if you went just like to a clinic or, hey, why's my heart racing? But you were.
Because the second time I had a panic attack, I still didn't know what it was. Okay.
And that's when you went in.
That's when I went in. So I didn't know what was going on. And then, like, the second time it happened, I'm like, there might be something, like, I'm like, something's wrong. Like, am I sick? Like,
I got cancer. Hypochondriac.
And I never forget my friend looking me in my eye and being like, you need to figure this out and, like, do what you're being told to do, or I can't be around you anymore. Because I wasn't willing to, like, actually give it a try. I wasn't willing to give therapy a try. I wasn't willing to.
Why not?
I don't know. I think a lot of it was
the stigma of that's not what men do.
Not even the stigma of not what men do. I just think I held myself to a standard of being like, I would never need that.
You're too good for that. I'm too strong for this. I can overcome this on my own. I don't need.
And I think something else too is, like, because you got to think about it, I've served in this kids ministry at Trinity for 10 years. So there's a certain, I felt like I had to keep an image. I had to keep this image of a quote unquote perfection, even though there's no such thing as that. But in my mind, I'm like, I got to be this way all the time because I'm taking care of these kids. They see me every week. Like, some of these kids, in a way, this is not in a way to boast or glory, like,
right,
my tune or anything, but, like,
they look up to you.
They look up to me.
They do. I've seen.
You know what I mean?
So
like,
it's pride.
There's pride, and then there is pressure, because I got put into that at 15. I didn't know. I was dealing with my own stuff. Another little story too. My first ever Sunday service, I went and I fell asleep. And RJ Soltis was like, hey, I think you would like this thing that I do here at Kids Church. And that's how the whole thing happened. He did a character named Snickers.
After you fell asleep, he invited you to the ministry.
He invited me to the kids ministry, and it was, yeah. But I got put in that position at 15 and not really understanding that. Because then now I'm going to the store or going to the mall, and I'm, like, definitely going there and, like, you know, just being myself. But then I'm seeing these kids, and I turn into Kit Kat. It was it was a character. For the longest time, it was a character. It wasn't me, truly me, but I'm trying to be, like, in a way, like when you see kids look up to you like that, you think of, like, I don't know, as a kid, I liked watching, like comics or, like, watching wrestling. So, like, John Cena was, like, one of my heroes. So when I saw that, you know what I mean? Like, if I saw him, John Cena's going to do what? He's going to go into character. He's going to be that.
Oh, we can talk about some wrestling.
Oh, I love wrestling. And then but what I'm saying in that is, like, that's how I felt, but I applied that pressure to myself.
Yeah.
And I think that applies to it too, because then even when I'm in college, I couldn't even go to the even just with my friends. And this is so funny to think that way. I'm just thinking in the moment of how I felt then. I'm like, man, I can't really even do that without seeing parents or 2 or 3 kids that might see me. Like, it freaked me out. It definitely made me, like, be like, man, I gotta really, like, live. I'm living 2 different lives here. I'm living 2 different two different scopes. And that was not something that, like, Mr. Matt was always really good with me and still is to this day. Like, hey, like, if you ever need anything, if you're dealing with something, like, talk to me.
Such an encouraging man.
And I just,
Good man.
yeah, shout out to Matt Fancher. I don't know if he watches this, but yeah, like, that man, like, he's someone I've looked up to for a very long time.
Sure.
He's a man of God.
I still do to this day.
Like, just seeing what he does and, like, even getting moments to work alongside him is, like, it's a blessing.
Yeah.
And he the way he handles those situations and deals with those things, he doesn't allow it to affect him to where he, like, puts so much weight, because he knows what he's doing is to bless the kingdom.
Yep.
And these kids are growing in faith because of that. But that time there really, like, when I started that, put a lot of pressure in my heart to where I felt like I had to.
So where do you start seeing the turnaround? So when is it like, okay, I'm starting to, this is
I'm getting
not as
better.
often, or there's a peace in my spirit kind of feeling?
I want to say it was probably, like, literally right after giving it to God. Because I think what happened was I was willing to give that a chance. And, like, anytime I felt a moment or saw something, again, I'm off the pills now. I'm off it. Like, I'm not even taking the meds. I'm just showing up as me. Those situations just seemed too much. It was a lot littler, a lot more small. It was a lot smaller because God was looking over it. So because of that, I'm like, oh, I'm just giving it to God.
So it's pretty much a breakthrough.
It was, yeah, it was like it was a breakthrough. But does anxiety still play a role in my life? In some circumstances, but the difference is now when I identify it, I know exactly who to go to. I know where to go to. You know what I mean?
So you're going to him first.
Going to him
the
first.
way we were always supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
And we can do that for any
Anything.
sin, any problem. We just released a short today that I went back to a short, like just a normal Bible without the commentary.
Okay.
Because it's like, why am I reading all this commentary from man's perspective when I have the Holy Spirit living in me, and I should just pray about it first? First. And it's not that those are bad to have. I think they're great.
Right.
But we need to be in a habit of going to the Lord first in anything.